us, the NJAA, New Jersey Astronomical Association. He's an optician by trade, and he's applied those skills to the grating prism of NASA's GALEX orbiting ultraviolet telescope and to the optics for the Canada-France-Hawaii infrared telescope. So please, everyone, welcome our speaker, Alan Witzgall.
Thank you. And good evening and welcome. We're going to be talking about something that happened quite some time ago in a place that maybe many of you have gone to see. And you, well, it's going to be called, the object is called the Chesapeake Invader. Now, when I was about the age of some of the young people in here, I had heard that meteorites would fall to Earth and make craters and do all sorts of damage, but nothing in historic times. I'm rather glad for that. In this object's case, we're going to be talking about something that came to Earth a long time ago, and its effects are still being seen by people who live in the Chesapeake area. So let's get started over here. Okay, Chesapeake Bay area is one of the most beautiful vacation spots on the east coast of the United States. It attracts thousands of visitors every day during the spring to fall season. Now, most people don't realize, though, you're looking at this wonderful area, that not too long ago, from a geologic standpoint, that the tranquil area was the site of a major catastrophe from the skies. Now, before I go any further, especially for our young people over here, the odds of, in your lifetime, well, you little guys and girls over here, of a large object coming to Earth and doing what it did to the Earth, and I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes, are very, very slight. So we can all go to bed and get some sleep tonight and not have to worry, okay? Everybody clear on that? For the adults, the same deal, okay? Okay, great. But I do want to get you guys thinking. Okay, it's not really that far away from here. There's the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel. Cape Charles is what we want on. It's almost poetic, right? Bad luck being there some many millions of years ago on Route 13. But that's where the blue star is where a lot of our story is going to take place. So you go down there now and you have a beautiful sunrise. It's wonderfully tranquil. The birds are singing. The sun is coming up. The moon on the other, if it's full moon, has already set opposite. Wonderful scenery. And you can see it. To be completely frank with everybody here, I have not gone down here. Okay, but these are all photographs that other people have taken, and I'm looking at it, and not just because of the fact that something impacted there millions of years ago. I wouldn't mind seeing this myself, and hopefully in the next year or two I will. Okay, and it's got lots of wildlife. There's a bald eagle coming in for a landing on the nest. Absolutely beautiful. You see the sky? That's real. That isn't fudged in over here. That's the actual photo. And great fishing. And when I was about the age of some of our young people here, I was into fishing like you wouldn't believe. Never got down there, though. And there's lots to do and see. Kelly's Pub, you know, some of the adults in here would say, okay, sounds like fun. Great seafood and other food, too. And great restaurants. I do know someone who went to the shanty down there, and they say the prices are reasonable and the food, nobody goes out of there hungry. So here is just an example of what's available. And more to see and do. Now, this is probably a place that I would want to go to first. This is the Cape Charles Museum. Has a lot of the history in the area, and now it also talks about what we are going to talk about this evening. But 35 million years ago, something catastrophic happened here. A great disaster, if there was anyone here. No one was here. This is before the age of man, roughly 35 million years ago. It was a very bad day on the coast, as you might expect. Here you have this object maybe in the order of several dozen yards across, coming in, impacting offshore, and you can see the explosions like impact plus maybe about a quarter of a second, and you can see all the forest fires that are just starting over on the far side of the picture. Now, today, it's very important, obviously, to be looking for fresh water. And in the Chesapeake area, you will find there are a lot of wells there, and most of them are pretty good. But they wanted to, the geologists and what we call limnologists who are in geology studying water and its sources, they drilled down in around 1988, United States Geological Survey, to see if there were more aquifers, as it's called, that could be tapped because the population's always growing there. And then they found this. Normally when you drill down, the drill's roughly about this big in diameter. And it's hollow, so it brings out what we call a core. On the left, you can see it's pretty uniform composition-wise. The color's all about the same. Same thing for the right. But look at this. At this particular depth, it's all broken up, all shattered. And that date can be dated to roughly 35 million years ago. Okay, so we were able to, a number of, NASA got in the act, of course, if it's going to be something that might have come from space to crash into the Earth, NASA's going to be there. Newport News and Chesapeake, which is where that core sample, as it's called, came from. And you can see, I'll just move through here, you can see that the broken rock forms a shallow, relatively large but shallow crater here, curving into it. And below this, they found broken rock, what's called breccia, and huge blocks of rock about the size of a tractor trailer, many of them scattered below. So apparently, from this view, we have about a 50-mile diameter area of disturbed rock. Okay. Now, the best way to confirm if you've had an ancient impact, if something coming from out in space, hitting the Earth at 10 to 30 miles per second and shattering the rock, is to look at that rock with a special microscope called a polarizer microscope. It magnifies like a microscope, but it has two Polaroid filters. And when you cross the filters together, anything that varies in that is going to show up a series of color. When viewed like this, that shocked quartz, all those faint lines going through it, shows the effect of a massive impact on rock. Other than the effect of a nuclear weapon, a hydrogen bomb, this does not occur by any natural process on Earth. Not even big volcanoes, when they explode, can't do this. Okay. And it turns out that not only do you have the explosion, but all that material's got to go somewhere. And essentially, that cloud of dust and gas and rock and pulverized sand all went almost, well, yes, just past Argentina in South America. You can go out to Texas. As a matter of fact, Texas on the scale is right over here. You can find some of their splash product, as they call it, all the melted rock. They're called bediosites. They're found mostly in Texas. But all of them go all the way down through South America. It's even called the North American Tektite strewn field. And here's ground zero today, viewed by satellite. Cape Charles was about the point of explosion, and you can see there's a ring and another ring. In other words, this is a crater and then a second larger crater. And we can infer this all because of drilling down into the rock and seeing how it reacted. Okay. Okay, so the geologists, after doing a lot of surveying over the years, have found something very interesting here. First off, they did find the explosion product over here, point zero here, ground zero. But off the New Jersey coast, off the Toms River area, there's another impact area. And above that is somewhat older, what's called a Schlieff stone dome. It's not really a dome, it's actually a flattened area. But these two are formed about the same time, about 35 million years ago. Okay, a little more detail. There's the Chesapeake invader, and the effects were felt all the way up through New Jersey. There's that stone dome, and then Tom's Canyon. We think this is a impact feature, but with about 1.5 miles of water between you and it, and the Chesapeake invader, which just makes it to land. Okay, so a wider view, and you pull some of the water away, and you can look down, And this is about how big that it was. Imagine if this had landed on New York City today. All of us would be gone rather quickly. Now, luckily, it's not going to happen. You may have heard on the news that they did find an object which is going to get very close to the Earth in the next couple, I believe it's the next couple of weeks. It is going to miss Earth completely. We can all go to bed and take it easy, and this rock is just going to go sailing away, thank heavens. Sometimes they don't. This time, it will. And you can see, when you strip away the water, where the impact site was. And also something else that's interesting, too. The Tom's Canyon crater is about the same age, 36 million years. And Papagai crater in Russia is about the same age. So what essentially may have happened, and it seems more and more evidence is coming to this, is the fact that you had an impact perhaps in Russia, and then two more on the other side of the Earth as the Earth rotated, in effect making itself a perfect target for it. And this is very interesting, too, because only recently I was studying this, trying to get ready for a talk like this, and I found out that this is a gift, however dangerous it was to life back then. This is actually a gift to Earth, because they're not formed by the impact, but it dug up, shall we say, a couple million carats of diamond. It's old gem quality, too. So they got lucky in this area. Even luckier that it didn't happen when there were people there. So I'm marking the site. If you decide that you'd like to go down to that area, you can go to the Chesapeake Bay impact crater sign in Cape Charles on Mason Avenue and Bay Avenue. You can see there are a lot of places you can get moonrise jewelry. Okay, don't look at me. I didn't name it. Okay, Rayfield Fountain. The golf, if you play golf, mini golf, this is a perfect place for it. The beach market. Yeah, I mean, this is a regular tourist trap, and it's fantastic. But then this one, all the way at the end, has a sign that describes what happened. And there's the marker for the event. This only went up, I think, about 15, 20 years ago. And you can learn all about it. There's a wonderful poster over there. Honestly, I wish I could get a copy of that. It's really beautiful. And over here, they're all announcements and such. But all this faces out to sea, as you can see. And where that white boat is off on the left there. Go another half a mile, and that's where the center of the crater is. But it's also underwater, and it's also about 5,000 feet below that. But at least it's there. And there we are. This is one of the two signs you'll read. It's the 6th largest crater on Earth. Created about 35 million years ago. Maybe it was 2 to 3 miles in diameter. Smashed into a shallow sea and shattered the crust of Earth. Everything within 600 miles, all the plants, all the animals, again, there were no people at this time, were killed. Crater formed, centered about 18 miles east of Yorktown, near Cape Charles, Virginia. This is actually amazing. This is only maybe since about 1988 thereabouts has been really studied, and the story it tells of what happened at that day still echoes. So there's the crater today. There's Cape Charles. It's point 0, and it's what's called a double crater. It's got an inner crater and then an outer field here too. And you can see it a little better on that side as well. And you can see where the rivers all were diverted going into that section. The James and the York and the Yappahannock flowing into it. Now, if you took down a submarine and went down there, you would not see the crater. It's buried under sediment. But once we dug through that, then we got all the evidence. Or to put it another way, the crater could hide, but it couldn't not be found. So therefore... So in the geological point of view, as I mentioned before, Chesapeake invaders down there. There's point 0. There's Tom's Canyon impact crater. And there's even another one over here, which originally was thought to be part of this. It turns out it's not. Schley or Stone Dome. This is uplifted, not down. All these others go down. And we are able to tell various ages and points on this map, including into New Jersey. Okay, so here are our conclusions. That a meteorite about 1 to 3 miles in diameter hit the ocean bed off the edge of the North American continent. The object reached the continental shelf after going through 600 to 1,500 feet of water, like it wasn't even there. The object reached it. They were drilled through 1,800 to 3,000 feet of sediment, sand, and rock and such, and after hitting the granite crust, it continued traveling till its kinetic energy was exhausted. The meteorite vaporized. If I was going that fast and hit the Earth at about 40 miles per second, I would too. Displaced water and sediments and excavated a nice round crater into the crystal basement, the rock that was existing there. And moreover, it affected nearby sediments, giving fractures as deep as 7 miles. That's almost through the crust of the Earth. The meteorite superheated, vaporized the rock into gas, forming a melted bedrock into a plume about 20 miles high, maybe more. If you were on the moon, you could look back at Earth, even in broad daylight on the continent, and see it. And some debris has been completely altered by the impact. Geologists who were exploring for oil found what we call small tektites and shocked quartz back in the 1980s. So it gave pretty much a major clue and almost confirming the fact that there was an impact crater there. Specific location was written up only in the 1990s. They're still doing research out there. Okay, and if you wanted to do more, I recommend that last one. It's less technical, and yet it gives you a good sense of what happened. craterexplorer.ca/Chesapeake-impact-crater-2/. Seems a little complicated, but it's worth the read, because it just gives us an idea of what could happen if our technology didn't exist right now. If we had an event like that even 100 years ago, we could do absolutely nothing about it. Our society today, yes, we have terrible weapons of destruction, but in this case, they can be an atomic weapon would not blow it up. That's worse. You blow the thing up and now you got millions of pieces to play with. You wouldn't like that. It's not good. So what you do is you fire off a missile to have it explode either ahead of it or behind it. Speed it up or slow it down so the Earth just slips away and this thing goes off on its merry way, not to come back, hopefully. And if it does, there are other ways of moving it. But that's what we would do. And congratulations, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We're the very first species to evolve on the Earth in its 4 billion year history that now has the capability of saving ourselves. Everybody looks at atomic weaponry, and I do too, being a nightmare. And yet this might end up as a salvation of humanity and life on Earth. So that ain't bad. What do you know? Finally, we make weapons that can be used to protect everyone from something from out there. And I have to thank my wife, Bonnie, who's back there, Mary Duca from a brother club to this organization, Amateur Astronomers Incorporated, who actually allowed me to show this the first time a couple years ago. And then, of course, John Andrews, who's our MC, who allows me to get up here and talk about crazy, wild, and amazing stuff dealing with the universe. So that, I believe, that's our last slide. And I thank you for your attention. And, and thank you. Thank you very much. And if anybody has any questions, I saw a hand over here. Yeah?
How does this crater compare to the Yucatan crater?
The Yucatan job. It's larger.
This one's larger?
This is larger. 35 miles, and this is approximately 35 miles across. The Yucatan crater is roughly about 10.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a big difference. And where it hit the Yucatan Peninsula, and others with it. We're still looking for more. When you got one, there should be a couple with it. When it hit, that's what killed out the dinosaurs and allowed us little mammals to rise up to our technology. So like I said, we're the first species to evolve on Earth in all this time to stop one of these, has the capability of stopping it. With weapons we would normally might have thrown at each other, then as one big defense, we can fire them off into space when something comes in and deflect it. Not destroy it. You don't want all these little pieces all over the place that ruin your whole day and the planet. But you can push it out of the way. And it doesn't take much, a couple feet per second change. Speeding it up, slowing it down. And it's a clean miss. And in theory, it will not come back because we've changed the orbit, and Earth's gravity has also pulled on it. So we watch it, we wave as it goes off, and bothers no one else, including ourselves. And I think that's pretty good. About time we little primates came up with something cool.
Well, you know, Al, I'm going to differ with you because about 10 years ago, you said we're the only species that's able to save ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Well, about 10 years ago, my wife and I bought about 5, 6 ducks. And we had them in a cage, and when we got to our house to release them into the pond, this one duck, which was a little nuts, okay, this one duck immediately got out and ran. And ran. It saved itself. And to this day, I still think I see this little white duck running through the woods. Not
Oh, okay. Have you been okay? Okay, we got to talk about this later. Okay. You know, I saw it run through last night, so yeah. Okay. Well, I did see a groundhog go at warp 9 over here when it saw me. Let me out of here, and took off. But that's about the only wildlife I saw today. Oh boy, see what I have to contend with, folks. Okay. So, are there any other questions?
Why did, if this was bigger than the one that killed the dinosaurs, why didn't it kill all the mammals? Like, was it just where it happened to hit?
Well, it depended on where it hit. In the case of the Chicxulub crater in the Yucatan, that was still landfall there. So apparently it took the impact and was able to throw it out, but it also threw up lots of dust and dirt. When this hit, that was in water. So it's more like a steam explosion, which is bad if you're near it. But the dust is what usually cools the planet, and it just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
And that is a question that everyone ponders right now. How come the mammals, when the dinosaurs disappeared, how come the mammals didn't disappear also? And it's
Oh, yeah.
an area of research. Good question.
Bonnie?
Don't forget your,
Oh, yeah. Okay, we'll take one more question. Everybody's stunned. Okay. All right. Now, for those that were wondering what kind of meteorite that was, first off, we have two things. We have a pretty much new, I think it's a brand new display about meteorites, rocks from space. I collect them myself. This is from my private collection, showing the 3 basic types: here am I here? Palisite, stony iron, and then a stone. We believe the one that was in the Yucatan, by the way, was a chondrite, as they call it, a stony object. This one apparently is what they call a carbonaceous chondrite. It was big, but very lightweight for its size. It still did a number on the North American continent. However, it also enriched the soil because it is very friable, it falls apart quickly, and it actually did a pretty good job on fertilizing that land area for many millions of years before we got there. So if anybody wants to see them, you have this. If you want to see more varied, you go over in the corner there where the lights just came up. Hey, there we go. So you can get to see with these objects from space up close and personal. Okay, so without any further ado, I thank you very much for coming up here on this rather cold evening. And you think it's cold now when you see the winter. You're more than welcome to walk around the building. We have telescopes set up yet?
Well, it's cloudy.
Oh, typical New Jersey observing weather. Okay. Okay.
We do have a large scope. I want to point out that we do have, as Al mentioned, we do have a new meteorite.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.